Hey guys, Mark here. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I find winning products for branded dropshipping in 2026. Here's the thing. Most of you watching this video have been brainwashed into believing a lie that the only way for you to actually make money with branded dropshipping is by some miracle, just like digging for gold, you finally find that winning product. It's like playing the lottery or like gambling. Like just one day you get lucky, you find that winning product and boom, you're making 6 figures a month and you're finally buying that Lamborghini you've had your eyes on for so long. This is a lie, and it is one of the most dangerous lies in e-commerce period, because it basically forces you to think in this extremely one-dimensional manner where the only thing that you're actually competing on is the product. And it turns out with dropshipping specifically, that's a terrible thing to compete on because products are commodities, right? You're selling the same product as a bunch of other people. So that's a very terrible thing for you to actually compete on and try to make money on. So for most people, because they have terrible marketing, terrible creatives, terrible funnels, terrible backend, they only are able to compete on the product. And then they actually do fall into this trap of trying to test product after product after product. And it starts to feel like you're literally gambling. The reality of finding winning products in 2026 is that winning products are not found, they are created. It is incredibly important that you understand this point, because if I get this point across to you, to me, this video is a W. Winning products are not found, they are created. Just think about it. If you're selling the same product as everybody else and you are basically selling it using copy and paste template that everybody else is using, you're not competing on funnels, you're using ripped ads, which is the same ads that everybody else is doing, you're not using the same creatives, and you're selling the same product in the same market. What left is there to compete on? There's absolutely nothing left. When I was getting started in e-commerce, I also was brainwashed into this way of thinking. But then I had a thought, how is it that there are other business owners that are not drop shipping? They're just regular e-commerce based businesses where they order a bunch of stock and they actually have, their unique product. Well, how do they do it? They just can't jump from product to product like drop shippers can. They have to just figure out how to make that product work. If they can do that, why can't I do the exact same thing? And that just completely broke this limiting belief that the only way for me to win in e-commerce was by competing on the product and chasing this elusive winning product concept that you've been brainwashed into believing. Again, winning products are not found, they are created. So then the question becomes, how do you create that winning product? Now, for simplicity purposes, I'm still going to call it product research, even though I say that they're created, not found. But regardless, we need something to sell, period, right? You have to find something to sell. And product research for me is actually divided into 2 separate categories. The first of those 2 categories is actual research, so like finding the product, period. But the second category is what most people miss, and that is the category of product validation. Because I have a philosophy that I don't want to sell anything that I can't already prove is being sold at a high scale. And by high scale, what I mean is at least $300,000 per month in revenue. Okay, so you want to find the product, that is the product research portion, but you also want to validate that the product is actually selling. So many of you are trying to test these products that are not proven to sell in the market in the first place. There's already so many variables for you to make this business successful and get it off the ground, right? You got to worry about creatives, copy, funnel, so many things. Why would you add another variable on top of that and try to sell something that's not even proven to sell? To me, that's a terrible idea. And I want to sell something that people are actually already buying. I just want to sell it better than everybody else. And that's why this product validation step is the most crucial step in the entire process. Now, luckily for you, actually researching and finding these products, I have a very simple list of criteria because, again, the validation is going to do most of the heavy lifting. My first piece of criteria is I want the product to solve a painful problem in a passionate market. So a lot of people are like, oh, you want to make sure you sell problem-solving products. I'm like, well, every product is designed to solve some sort of problem. It just may not be a physical problem. It could be an emotional problem, which is why a lot of people buy clothing, for example. But I digress. I want to solve a painful problem in a passionate market. And you may be thinking, what does painful actually mean? So the most painful problems are going to be the problems that are the lowest on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For example, trying to sell products related to spirituality, ascending your consciousness, self-actualization, difficult to sell, right? Because it's not very tangible, it's not very painful. It's people that are moving towards pleasure and not away from pain. I want to sell to people that are moving away from pain, which is typically going to be one of these 3 kind of bottom categories here. And the closer you can get to the bottom, the better, because that means it's a more painful problem that you're solving. Now, product research criteria number 2 is I want to sell a product that has good margins, like high margins. And I have have two very simple rules to accomplish this. Number one is you want to make sure that you can sell the product for 3x your cost of goods sold, right? Also called your COGS. Like if somebody's making a lot of money, you know they got a good COGS. You know what I'm saying? So that's rule number one. If I'm selling a product for, let's say $15 shipped from my supplier, I can't sell that product for anything less than $45, period. That is just baseline, bare minimum. You can be a little bit more lenient with this rule if you're selling something more expensive. Like if your cost of goods sold is over $50, then you can be a little bit more lenient, but still, if it were me, I would still be aiming for that 3x cost of goods sold rule. Second rule here is going to be a minimum of $25 of gross profit per order. Now, what does this mean? Let's say, example, you're getting that product for $15 and you do decide to sell it for $45. So you hit that first rule. Well, you also want to make sure you have $25 worth of profit. Well, if we take 45, subtract 15, that's $30. 30 is greater than 25. Therefore, we meet both rules. The reason I have this one in place is because a lot of people will sell these cheap ass products that are just so difficult to scale in today's competitive environment where your ad costs are going up and up and up, where you can get it shipped for like $3. Technically, according to the first rule, you could sell for like $9 or $10, but that means that you would have to have a CPA under $6 just to make a single dollar of profit, which is not impossible, you know, but it's difficult to do. And your job is to make everything as easy as possible when you're getting your business off the ground. So hit those two rules and you'll be in good shape. Next up on the list is going to be selling a product that is easy to ship. Okay. Long term, you don't want to create fulfillment headaches for yourself. All right. Don't go out there selling refrigerators and fucking big furniture. Speaking from experience, all of those costs in maintenance fees and shipping headaches just end up eating away at your profits and your sanity. So I highly recommend finding products that you can, for the most part, fit within a shoebox. That's kind of what you're looking for. You can be a little bit lenient on that again, but yeah, I think the smaller the better. But you know, that's not what my girl said. So last piece of criteria on the list is I want to see potential for high LTV, right? LTV stands for lifetime value. And all that means is, you know, the most difficult part of your business is getting somebody to buy from you once. The second most difficult part is getting that same customer to come back and buy from you again and again and again. But if you're able to crack that second half, then you can be way more lenient on the first half. What I mean by that is if you can get somebody to buy a product, not just for $40, but they're subscribing for $40 per month, their LTV, their lifetime value, can be so significantly higher that you can even take a loss acquiring customers on the front end and still be profitable because you have all this recurring revenue that is keeping your business afloat. This is a little bit more advanced, but all you want to do here is just keep that option open. You need to have a product that ideally people are going to be buying more than once, right? That could be a consumable, that could be something that is often gifted to other people. It doesn't matter, but the LTV game is one of the most important games that you can play in your business. So just plant the seed, and I promise you'll be coming back to thank me once your ad costs do go up because your LTV will be so phenomenal. All right, so this is product research in a nutshell. Let's go now to product validation, which is, you know, the real fun one here. So like I said, the main piece of criteria here is I want to be able to prove with data that a competitor is making at least $300,000 per month with their brand. And honestly, guys, this is a low number. Like just generally speaking, this is the bare minimum. I know a lot of you will try to like copy products of guys that are, you know, maybe they only have like 30,000 visits on SimilarWeb or something, but they're scaling quickly. Don't fall for it. You need something proven with data. So the way that I like to prove this, speaking of which, is to use a very simple tool called SimilarWeb. Now, I know there's a lot of softwares out there that will, you know, try to basically calculate competitors' revenue. For the most part, these softwares are wildly inaccurate. They actually use pretty similar approximation tools as the one I'm about to show you, and it's completely for free. But just generally, they look accurate. A lot of times they're not. I've double checked them on my own stores of my friends, and it's just totally off. But SimilarWeb, you can get this free extension and you'll get, I think, 3 uses of it per day, or you could just subscribe to one of their plans. And what you're looking for here is 300,000 visits a month. Now, you may be wondering, why visits, Mark? You're supposed to be talking about sales. Don't you want to improve with sales? Yes. However, what you can do is basically estimate their conversion rate and their average order value to reverse engineer generally what their volume in terms of monthly revenue is going to be. What I mean by that is if they're doing 300K visits per month, let's say on average they have a 2% conversion rate and let's be generous here and give them like a $60 average order value, right? If I were to pull up my calculator, I know you can't see it here, but I'm going to do 300,000 times 0.02. That's 6,000 customers a month times a $60 average order value. That is $360,000 per month that we just proved. Now, is that 100% accurate? No, but I trust this way more than than any software personally. And I just want to see also that they're running a lot of ads, because that's always a good sign. So what I like to do is go to my software here called Get Hooked. Shameless plug. If you want to use it, you can always click the second link in the description of the video and get a free trial. And what you can do here is basically scroll through all of these ads here and play with certain filters. For example, if we only want to see ads that are ranked 4 or 5 stars, which means they're actually scaling and doing good volume, then what I can do is, let's say I find this brand, for example, I see this contouring wide iron product that, god damn, they're selling for $350. But I can open similar web here and see that they're only driving, 50,000 visits per month. Now, keep in mind, this fucking product is $350. So they actually could be over 300K per month because their average order value is going to be so freaking high. So that's why you need to know how to do that simple calculation right there. But this is one of my favorite methods for finding these winning products and validating them. Super duper simple. Just find winning ads, go to the brand, reverse engineer their numbers, boom, you're done. But what's even better than that is doing it 100% automated with AI, and you don't even have to have a similar web subscription to do this. So I actually built this AI product validation tool using ChatGPT agent, and it'll basically execute the entire product validation step all with AI in like under 30 minutes. So you literally don't have to do anything. It's pretty crazy. So if you want to get access to this, just go to my IG. It's at @MarkBuildsBrands and DM me the word valid, and I'll send you over this SOP completely for free. Now at this point, we can say, okay, Mark, I found the product. Cool. It meets all these amazing criteria here. You're so smart. Wow, this is great. I even validated the product. These guys are doing numbers. I'm ready to go. Now what? So like I mentioned, winning products are not found. They are created. Since products, when it comes to branded dropshipping, products are mostly a commodity because everybody has access to them, right? You can't really compete on having an entirely unique product because I can sell the same thing as you, which means you have to learn how to compete on something other than the product. So I have a full video separate from this one where I go into depth on a bunch of different competitive advantages that you can take advantage of. If you want to get access to that, you can always DM me the word competitor on Instagram and I will send it to you. But let me give you my top 3, okay? These are the 3 that are easiest to compete on, specifically if you are a beginner. Number 1 is competing on creative. Regardless of what you may think, most people still suck at making creative. And by creatives, all I mean is the ads that you're running, right? Specifically the visual element of the ad, but the ads in general. Most people have no idea how to run highly successful direct response style ads. Even these established brands that are driving, 300,000 visits or more per month, a lot of them are still very, very slow in terms of their creative production, right? They're either number 1, like just not testing enough creatives, which is just going to be like creative volume. So you could come in there and just test a shitload of creatives and beat them in terms of volume because you're just going to find winning creatives faster than them. Or B, their creative quality is just shit. Okay, so the game of scaling on Facebook and honestly on TikTok, on any paid ads platform, I want you to burn this into your memory, okay? You need a high volume of diverse creatives, okay? So volume and diverse, also known as quality. If you can test a lot of creatives that are significantly higher quality than your competitors, you can outcompete them, period. If I am going ad for ad with one of my competitors and I'm looking at their ads library and they are not testing enough, they are simply, for the volume that they're doing, their creative production is low, and even the creatives themselves, they look pretty weak. To me, that is a huge green flag because I now know I can go in with the same product and outcompete them on their creative game. Now, what else can we compete on? Well, another one of my favorites here is competing on the funnel. Once again, especially in dropshipping, so many people have been brainwashed into thinking that the only way to be able to run ads successfully and make money with branded dropshipping is by using what I like to call colloquially the basic bitch funnel. The basic bitch funnel is essentially taking your ad here. Let's say you're running a video ad on Facebook. You drive traffic directly to Shopify on a PDP of some sort. Then after the PDP, they're going to go to the checkout page, and then basically you collect your payment right here via this dotted line, and then you hit the thank you page, and that's basically it. There's not necessarily a problem with things that are basic, but again, this is the game of competitive advantages. You have to be unique in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be the funnel, but it could be the funnel. What I like to run a lot of times, because I've been doing it for so long and it's one of my great assets that I have, is running what I like to call the Chad funnel. And Chad funnel usually is running image or video ad that is a little bit on the longer side. So either a mini VSL or a static ad with some long copy, and then running this instead of to a PDP, I'll be running this to what's called a pre-sales page. Now the pre-sales page basically is designed to sell people without them knowing it. It's to sell them subconsciously. So this could be a page such as an advertorial. This could be a page such as a listicle. This could be a page such as a quiz funnel. You're actually getting these micro commitments from people, and you're actually brainwashing them into believing that there's an external third party selling your product, when in reality, it's just your brand and it's just the structure of a landing page. And you're being fully upfront about that, right? There's nothing to hide. But instead of sending people directly to a PDP at that point, then you send them to the sales page, which is designed not to sell the product, but to sell the outcome that the product gives you, right? This is basic marketing 101. People talk about, oh, don't sell the features, sell the benefits. The benefits aren't even good enough. You need to sell the outcomes, right? Why did the person legitimately want to buy this product? It has nothing to do with the product and everything to do with the outcome that they want to get. That could be an emotional outcome, could be physical, but go as deep as you possibly can here and really do your research and speak to the deep psychological pains that your market is going through. At this point, from the sales page, we can go to the order page, which is a great way to boost your average order value in the form of order bumps or in the form of quantity discount. And the reason why I use these pages, by the way, instead of a checkout page or a PDP on Shopify is because they're just more customizable, right? Shopify is great, but their technology is incredibly limiting. And so for that reason, the Chad funnel that I'm explaining here, for the most times, I'm either running on a software called Funnelish or a software called Checkout Champ. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. These softwares can be a little bit more complex, especially Checkout Champ, to really build funnels on. But to me, it's worth it because again, I'm competing on the funnel. If I'm going to compete on the funnel, I can't expect to use the same technology and get the same result. So not that these are the only two ways for you to turn a product into a winner and, create a winner instead of finding it, but these are two of my favorites right here, right? Typically, I can go into a competitor and see one of these two things that they're doing poorly and be able to outcompete them in that arena. Now, the final thing I want to go over in this video is, you find the product, you build the landing page, you compete on creatives or funnels or whatever you decide, and you're actually ready to test. Well, the game's not over. Okay? Just because you did everything that I told you above doesn't mean, again, that you're automatically just gonna find a winner and start printing on day one. In fact, the place where the real winners show themselves is on their ability to read the data. So what I want to do is actually go through the 5 laws of testing to set yourself up for success when you actually do test a product. Because a lot of times, even me, I'll test a product and it doesn't look great on the first day or two, but then I read the data, I adjust, and then it's profitable. Law number 1, know thy numbers. This is going to be different for everybody, but what you should specifically know is what is your target cost per acquisition to be at your target level of profitability. So when I'm testing, I'm looking for a minimum of 20% net profit margin. So I have this whole calculator that, again, if you want to just go DM me on IG, I don't even know the keyword for that one, just go DM me and I'll send it to you. But you can actually see column by column what your numbers should be that you should be shooting for to make sure you're hitting your target levels of profitability. If you don't know your target CAC, right, or your target CPA, if you don't know your break-even return on ad spend, then the minute you start spending on ads, you're already losing because you don't know when to cut ads. You don't know when to scale and when to kill. If you don't do that, that is just a golden opportunity for you to lose fucking money. Law number 2 is to read the data and adjust. You do not lose money when you run ads, period. You do not lose money when you run ads. What does happen is you buy data. And the cool thing about data is that every time you buy data from Facebook or TikTok, it's actually telling you a story. It's telling you what to do. And you need to know how to read that data to make decisions so that when you relaunch and adjust your creative, adjust your targeting, adjust your funnel, then you actually do start making money. So for example, if I were to launch a product and I see immediately that the conversion rate is very, very low. Specifically, the add to cart ratio is low, which is very, very common, right? The add to cart percentage is the percentage of people that land on that first landing page and end up adding the item to the cart. My KPI here is 10%. If I launch and I immediately see this is way off, I know either number 1, the messaging in my ads is not getting people warmed up and ready to buy by the time that they reach my lander, or number 2, my lander sucks. It's not actually convincing people to add the item to the cart. So as soon as I identify which of those issues it is, I just adjust the lander or adjust the ad, relaunch, and the numbers 90% of the time are better. It turns out most of the time that you launch stuff and test stuff, it doesn't work. Good. That's why you need to learn how to read the data and make relaunches. And every single relaunch you do, you should be getting better. Again, you're not losing money, you're buying data. And that leads me to point number 3, which is my 1 relaunch rule. I have a hard rule set in place for most of my students, which is that if you test a product and you buy data and you're not profitable, you should give yourself 1 more opportunity to turn that losing product into a winner. And this is where you can actually create the winner. winner, right? So what you do is you launch, doesn't work, you read the data, you adjust, you relaunch. If it still is nowhere near profitable, cut it and move on to the next product. Do I still believe that you can make that product successful? Yes, but the opportunity cost of pursuing that product instead of moving to a next one is too high. So what you can do very simply is launch once, get the data, relaunch, and if your data is not better, just move on. This is really good for your mental because a lot of times entrepreneurship is a mental fucking battle. And especially when you're running ads on Facebook, you know, the numbers are always just whispering in your ear and telling you things you want to hear, you know, but a lot of times just better to cut it, move on to the next one. Now, law number 4 is going to be the law of minimizing your variables. As I was saying earlier, you want to control as much as you can on this first launch, right? A lot of people try to get super duper creative and they end up testing completely new branding, completely new pricing, new market, new creative, new ad copy, new funnel architecture. Stop. Just minimize your variables as much as possible, right? You're already having the variable of the product in the first place. Do you really want to change everything else? Absolutely not. Keep it simple, right? Golden rule, keep it simple, stupid, smooth brain. And then the final and most woo-woo law of all when it comes to testing products is going to be the law of ultimate detachment. Now, when you're building out these product tests, you're putting a lot of work in. You are doing your product research, validation, you're building the store, the funnel, the creatives. What happens in that process is your mind convinces you that because you're working hard, that this product is going to work. This is a really backwards rule, but I promise you, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, rewards detachment. So the moment that you publish your ads and they start spending, you're fully detached. If it works, it's profitable, cool. If it doesn't work, it's unprofitable, cool. Either way, cool. Doesn't fucking matter, right? You can't change the data. You can't change the ads. There's nothing you can do. Just let it rip, adjust and read the data and move on. That's why I have the one relaunch rule, or else like you get super duper attached to products and you just relaunch. And again, maybe it's going to work eventually, but it's just not worth your time at that point. Just move on, right? So be detached when you're launching your product test. So the point of this video was to show you that winning products are not found, they are created. Being successful in e-com really just comes down to having a good product, having good creative, and then sending that traffic to a good funnel, right? That's literally it. That's the formula, whether you're trying to get to $1,000 a day or $100,000 a day. It doesn't change. There's good product, good creatives, and a good funnel. This is everything that I teach inside of Brand Builders Academy. This is my mentorship program that I own with my partner, Alex. We have been building it for many, many years, and we have some of the best results in the industry just because we've been doing it for so freaking long. So if you're interested in getting more personalized help, you can always click the first link in the description and apply for BBA. Other than that, y'all, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.